In footage captured late last month, protesters who were involved in the Black Lives Matter protest are seen being hassled, arrested, and tased excessively by police outside of a Walmart. And these protesters, as you're going to see in this footage, are incredibly peaceful. Let's watch.
Because you're being criminally trespassed from this property.
Can I see your ID, please?
No, you can't.
Why is there something against me saying your name, but you give no mine? You got to have probable cause to ask somebody's name.
This man needs to go to jail for criminal trespassing. You're under arrest.
Wow, he need to go to jail for criminal trespassing.
Hey, y'all give me a hand.
Wow.
Let go of the helmet. Let go of the helmet. Let go of the helmet.
Look, I ain't getting nothing, man.
Criminal trespassing at Walmart? For real?
Come on, man.
We were just sitting here talking.
Take him down. Tasing. Tasing.
It's hazing? Hazing, bro. For real, man? Really?
Go back up. Back up.
Okay.
Back up.
I'm backing. I'm going back. You ain't gotta touch me. Wow.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
Wow.
I got one right here.
That's ridiculous. You just gonna keep tasing him.
Fuck, man. Man, this shit, man. What the fuck is going on?
Y'all part of this protest?
Man,
Need to leave. Need to leave right now, or you can go with him. Leave right now, or go with him.
Man, oh, shit.
Let's go. Go.
Whoa, man.
Turn around.
Really? I'm moving. This is my fucking car. This is my car right here.
Ran out of time.
This is my car. Wow.
I got one.
Okay, now, as you saw there, he did not get an order from the cops to go to his car any earlier than that. That was it.
Yeah.
Just about 5 seconds before.
Several seconds. Yeah.
Right. They say, okay, go to your car. He goes, okay, I'm at my car. This is my car. Right?
Yeah.
They go, too late.
Yeah, you ran out of time.
You ran out of time. But wait
Yeah.
a minute. I was already at my car. How could I have run out of time?
Yeah, and he's in a Walmart parking lot.
Right. And
It's not outside of the CIA headquarters or something. You can stand in a parking lot if you want. They didn't want him filming what you're legally allowed to do. They didn't want him filming what they were doing because it was clearly illegal.
So now, here's the part that really infuriates me. When you go back to the original conversation with the other guy, right? They know for a fact that these guys are protesters.
Yeah.
They got called in to bust up the protest, okay? I don't know if it was Walmart saying, hey, they're bothering my shoppers because, you know, we got to keep the shopping going, loop it up, right?
Yeah, it's the holidays. It was right after Christmas, I believe.
Right, and plus they don't like the protesters that are protesting the cops. They don't, okay.
Yeah.
So, but you know you don't need to tase the guy. You know he's not dangerous. He's in a protest. There's no riot. There's no nothing.
They'd already left the protest. They were walking back to their cars. They were right at their cars. He was about to go to his motorcycle when the cops approached them.
So obviously you're not actually worried about a crime. You're not worried about any real danger, right? What you're doing is, in a best case scenario, you're annoyed that he's not listening to your almighty orders as quickly as you would like him to, right? Now what you could do is show patience since he's exercising his First Amendment rights. And my guess is that if he was, you know, a Tea Party guy and he dressed up like a colonial goofball, right? And by the way, at that point, he could have been armed. And those cops in Alabama are not going to go to tase him or anything like that. They're going to be very polite. They're going to be like, sir, let's bring you back to your car. And it'll take 5 minutes longer and everything will be fine, right? These guys, they don't like these guys, okay, because they're protesting the cops.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, 1,000, 1,000 tase him, right?
Yeah, take him down. We heard them say that.
Yeah.
And then
so
just exceedingly tasing over and over.
That's right. And then if you're recording it, of course, that's an even bigger crime, which, of course, understand, we're kidding. None of these things are actual crimes.
Exactly.
But as I say often on the show, unfortunately, the biggest crime in America is disrespecting a police officer, right? Because they're very, very sensitive. They get their feelings hurt real quick. So then they're going to hurt you with a taser and arrest you and bring you to jail.
And if you notice, one of the last questions he asked after he said back up and put the billy club at his chest was, are you a part of this protest? As if that's a crime.
As if it's a crime, yeah.
Yeah.
So the guys say, nope, no, I'm not part of this protest. Basically saying, if you're part of this protest, you're immediately going to get arrested now because to protest is against the law, it's un-American. What are we told?
To protest, of course, as we all know, is literally the most American thing you can do. It's in the First Amendment. It's a huge part of our Constitution. Now, that doesn't mean that you can protest anywhere or any way that you like. There are time and place restrictions that people can put, and I don't know that they had a permit, et cetera, for this particular protest. But nonetheless, you know, the cops know that they are there to be peaceful and to exercise their rights in the best way that they can, right?
And they're done.
Right. And if they're done and they didn't do it exactly right and you want to escort them to their cars, I get it. We all get it. At some point, they got to go home. But you know that you didn't need to tase them. You did it anyway because you wanted to do it.
Yeah, people were wondering when the NYPD slowdown happened and it said that they were only arresting people when it was absolutely necessary, what that meant. That the alternative is what you saw in that video, actually, when it's not actually necessary. And I think it's interesting that people who blindly support the police and the military will often say, well, you know, what the fuck do you know? They die for your freedoms. Well, if they're not going to let us exercise the freedoms anymore, then they can't use protecting our freedoms as an excuse to be shielded from criticism anymore either.
Yeah, and oftentimes in the protests, they'll wind up hurting veterans who were trying to protect our freedoms, and they came back here to exercise them, right? Remember the kid who got shot in the eye, who was a veteran in one of the protests, and he lost his vision in one eye. They shot a beanbag in his eye or something along those lines, and they said, you know.
They didn't care so much then.
Yeah, I mean, how ironic is that? That he goes to fight in the Middle East. They don't harm him, right? And he comes back here while he's exercising the freedom that he so-called protected, right? Then he gets shot by our guys. Yeah. So, no, come on, man. Don't arrest protesters, especially not in a situation like this, where you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that there was no likelihood of violence unless you perpetrated.
Yeah. I always hear people like Joe Scarborough say, you know, when the police come up to me, I'm very polite to them. I've never had any problem whatsoever. Well, I bet when you're polite to them, they don't say, take him down and knock you down to the ground and begin tasing you. Like you saw in that video exactly what the problem is. These are people who were not fighting back, and it doesn't matter. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
By the way, you know, there's that angle to it. Then there's the other angle where oftentimes white people like Clive and Bundy, right?
We'll fight back.
Will fight back with guns. And they'll say, okay, I brought all my posse here and we're all heavily armed. And they'll point it at the cops. You all saw the pictures during the Clive and Bundy standoff, right? And they'll take these high-powered weapons and put them and point them towards the cops. And they'll be like, oh, no, that's okay. How is that fucking okay? How is that okay? And what you just saw is not okay.
I wonder how differently that would have played out if the guy with the motorcycle helmet had been holding a rifle to one of the cops' heads.
Oh, the degree to which he would have been executed on the spot is indescribable, unless he was a Tea Party patriot, in which case he would have had his Second Amendment rights. And of course, the Second Amendment trumps the First Amendment and every other amendment.
Important.
Yeah, far, far more important. So if you're black, you can't go unarmed to exercise your First Amendment. If you're white, you can go armed and point it at the cops and say you're exercising your Second Amendment rights and everything's fine.